AOC ditched you for Tapper? What do you mean?
Depends on being a sophomore.
Thank you so much. Good to level up.
Let me ask you, Congresswoman, how much does President-elect Biden owe the progressive movement and progressive leaders for his victory?
Well, you know, I think I believe that President Biden, in his wonderful acceptance speech last night, he acknowledged the enormous role that communities of color, Black communities, Latino communities, the trans community, et cetera, played in his victory. And we also know that majorities of these communities are progressive. They make up not just the progressive base, but the base of the Democratic Party. And so I believe that, you know, when we gin up the grassroots and we celebrate them to the election, we should also celebrate them in our governance. So I think a fair amount for us. I think we owe everyday communities.
Smart.
I think we owe the poor, middle class, working class, Black communities, communities of color, immigrant communities, a great deal in seeing them and honoring them in our legislation.
If you could take off your Congresswoman hat for just 1 second, I want to ask you on a personal note, what does it mean to you as a woman of color to see a Black woman as Vice President-elect of the United States?
I mean, it's really incredible. It's for so many of us, especially women, we have grown up, and I know my entire childhood we grew up being told that women are too emotional and that, you know, this country would never elect first a Black president, and luckily that happened with the election of Barack Obama, but now a woman of color and no less a Black woman to the second highest seat in the land. I mean, it's really remarkable, and you can't be what you can't see. That's very often said, and it's so amazing that so many little girls are growing up with this being a norm for them.
Bro, you guys are crazy for saying lib take. First of all, that's why she's fucking good, dude. This shit works, okay? This is a really successful method. And plus, on top of that, it probably is really, I mean, it is impactful. It is impactful. Just like Barack Obama was a once in a fucking lifetime candidate that you cannot deny. Like, that shit's important. Oh, people were calling Tapper the lib, not AOC? Oh, okay. AOC is so good at politics from the true left, goddamn. Yeah, no, she's great at, like, this type of stuff is really good. Because, like, Trump admin banned the rest of the Russian AK imports, not to mention bump stocks. The administration just stopped the selling of honey badger pistol rifles, reclassifying many weapons owned by people. Yeah, it's fucking lib, dude. It's lib shit. Better watch out. It's great at identity politics. Man, you have to do identity politics. If it's a lib take, if she was honest, she would admit she would want to be the first women president, VP, so to be someone kids can look up to. No, I think, like, shattering that boundary is significant for people from that background. I will never know personally because I'm a white passing cishet dude. So, like, my whole life, people that look like me have been in positions of power. So I will literally never understand how significant that is. You know what I mean? I'm at least admitting it. For me, though, of course, I would want that first figure to be also someone who believes in progressive values and will legislate that way and will lead that way.
Biden is planning a wave of executive orders to roll back some of Trump's policies once he takes office on everything from climate to the so-called Muslim ban. As of now, however, it looks as though Republicans, at least until January, will hold control of the Senate. That's going to complicate your desire and the desire of other progressives for bold, sweeping progressive legislation. I mean, theoretically, you can pass anything you want in the House, but it doesn't matter if it goes to die in the Senate. How are you going to negotiate that? Are you going to work with more moderate Senate Republicans to try to pass something in the House that can get through the Senate?
Well, I'm going to be spending my next couple of months doing everything that I can to extend help and offer support to the work of fantastic leaders that we just heard from, like Stacey Abrams, to make sure that we don't have a Republican Senate majority, that we win these races in Georgia, that we secure a Democratic Senate majority so that we don't have to negotiate in that ways. And so, you know, these Senate runoff races, they're on January 5th, I believe, and that is right around the time that that we would be preparing to swear.
Ben Carson being president, if it wasn't Obama, wouldn't have really meant anything for the black community. That's the distinction, in my opinion. Yeah, but here's the difference. Ben Carson being president, if it wasn't for Barack Obama, would not have been all that. Would be horrible for the black community, regardless. It's like fucking the Clarence Thomas. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like he's great. He fucking sucks. But Kamala Harris is still, and we shall see how she is as a vice president. She's going to underperform no matter what, because that's just how Democrats are. But it's still different. Like, there's still at least some points of view that they have that will be impactful. Virtue signaling the moderate libs while at the same time driving grassroots progressive activism remind you of anyone? Yeah, no, it's huge. It's great. That's what I'm saying. You have to do that. It's not like she's Candace Owens. Yeah, exactly. She also says amazingly that she's not. Very interesting AOC interview in the New York Times today where she says the history of the Democratic Party tends to be that we get really excited about the grassroots to get elected, and then those communities are promptly abandoned right after an election. She also says amazingly that she's often not sure she wants to stay in politics, primarily because of cowardly anonymous attacks, my characterization, from within her own party, which often treats her as its enemy, someone to be banished. This is absolutely true. This is something that I talk about quite frequently. If you've been around for a while in this community, you know that. I'm sorry, but it's not just the DNC. The media absolutely plays a fundamental role in this process. And AOC is like someone that actually gets away with it a lot because like she was admired and highlighted as a hero because for a lot of reasons that the media oftentimes turns people into heroes. Like her background, her being a Latina, a young Latina congressperson that ousted the third most powerful Democrat basically in a district. So those are some of the reasons why like the media immediately rushed to make a hero out of her that like otherwise like things worked very well is what I'm saying. But the reason why I love AOC is not because of those reasons. I don't give a shit what her fucking background is. I love AOC because of her ideas. I love AOC because of what she does, like what she believes in and what she has promoted. Now, do I always agree with her? No, of course not. There are plenty of criticisms that I have for her. I love Ilhan Omar. I think Ilhan Omar I have less criticisms for overall. But like these are some of my favorite politicians in the country. And I think that they are the future of the Democratic Party. And even then, she gets a fuckload of criticism. Now remember what Ilhan Omar goes through. Like, why are Democrats acting like this election was a resounding victory? AOC's right. They won by a very slim margin, showing that the Democratic Party needs structural change. I absolutely agree. I do. All right, I'm going to run the ad right now. I'm going to get back to the AOC stuff in a second. But ladies and gentlemen, top of the hour, every hour, there's a 60-second ad break. If you'd like an uninterrupted broadcast experience, you can subscribe with your Twitch Prime or with a regular subscription. There's other methods as well, but here's the 60-second ad break. There it is. Do you think Booker can win in 2024? No. How do you respond to someone that says increasing the minimum wage leads to people losing their jobs? I say it's just not true. It has not happened in places where they have done it. And it's always the most common rhetoric around it. And it never seems to happen. And then we forget. All these whites with the hot takes on minorities and positions of power means for minorities. Okay. Like, when you look at Candace Owens, do you feel like, if you're a black woman, when you look at Candace Owens, do you feel good that like a black woman has the ear of the president, ex-president? Or do you see it for what it is? Your experience and your identity in and of itself is nothing. Okay? I'm sorry, it's nothing. Why do we want diversity? Why do we want diversity in positions of power? Because we always assume that if you're coming from a background, if you've personally experienced marginalization, that will guide your perspective. That will guide your ideology. That will guide your personal experience, will guide your worldview in a way where you can advocate in a better way for people from that same community, from that same background. Okay? That's what's important. It's what you do with your background that's important. It's how you see the world that's important. Not that you're fucking black or white or brown. That shit doesn't matter if Republicans can use that against you so easily. Okay? You understand? Ilhan defended AOC. Ilhan Omar defended AOC. Just a friendly reminder, AOC isn't the enemy of our threat. She's an asset to our party. When you allow the GOP to dictate who should be included in our Big Ten party, we all lose. For God's sake, the GOP has QAnon members in their ranks and they won't throw them under the bus. AOC needs to chill and allow the American people to enjoy this moment. We had to endure 4 years of foolishness. Yo, I think a lot of people failed to recognize that the reason why AOC came out with this wasn't to fucking unleash attacks. And like, I don't know, wasn't to like out of nowhere. It wasn't out of nowhere. It was because the caucus call that leaked had like so many prominent members in the establishment Democrats shitting on the left. That's why. This is disgusting to me. Totally agree. I admire the members of the squad, but past 2 days have been eye-opening. Man, open up your fucking eyes to the reality a little bit further then. Eye-opening. You know Omar's a god? She's so fucking on it. Yeah. Elon also responded to what you just said. Progressives get attacked by other Dems. Everyone's silent. Progressives defend themselves in the Democratic base. Everyone stop being divisive. Maybe we should stop attacking progressives and work on unity instead of projecting. Absolutely. This is why I reached out to Ilhan Omar, Cori Bush, Jamal Bowman, AOC, and everyone else, because I wanted to use the newfound platform I have for good. These are people that I love. These are people that I think have the right intentions, the right mindset. These are people that you should reached out and it didn't fucking work. So whatever, but we'll see. I think right now they're trying to get their voices heard on more establishment outlets and more mainstream media outlets to reach as many centrists as possible. And they of course look to my platform as a platform that already preaches to the choir. So they don't really care about that. They don't really, they don't really see a lot of a benefit to talking to my audience as much as they do to talking to like the New York Times and and all these other places. And I get that. I understand that. Look, I'm here. I'm always going to be here, and I'm always going to have an open podium for them. You're also a brand risk? Yeah, that's not really... I don't think that's that big of a deal. Did you see AOC selling AOC plus meat with Twitch style logos? Poggers. Should we be worried about Trump taking this to the Supreme Court's package and say favor at his moment? Like, you just have to think about what he can take to the Supreme Court. He can't just be like, throw out all these votes. Chat just can't let the 821 meme go. Yeah, seriously. It's silly. It's what you make of it. Did you do an ad? It's 8 past? Yeah, I did. News. Representative Jim Clyburn, who's credited with saving Joe Biden's campaign in the primary, tells Mike Mamoli that working with Republicans will not be as hard as some people think. I don't think Mitch will be as mean to Joe as he was to Obama. Clyburn to Mike Mamoli. Biden says that he's looking forward to putting a black woman on the Supreme Court. Are you telling me if he puts a black woman's name up that McConnell is going to do what he did with Merrick Garland? I don't think so. I want to see McConnell oppose that. Yeah, no, this is brain cancer, dude. I'm sorry. No, I can't in good conscience believe that Representative Jim Clyburn, who is one of the most powerful fucking Democrats in the country and an old school politician, is this fucking brain dead. I truly believe that he is saying this absolutely in a cynical capacity. He knows that that's not going to work. He knows that he knows that that's not anything. Like, yeah, oh yeah, Mitch McConnell is going to be really adamant about increasing diversity in the Supreme Court. Like, shut the fuck up, dude. You know for a fucking fact that that's not the case. Like, come on. No. I'm sorry. It's so dumb. That's such an idiotic, brain dead take. I'm sorry. This is 1,000%. This is 1,000% a cynical application of just representative liberal identity politics that does not go beyond just, oh, we're just like, it just does not go beyond the aesthetics of progress. It is absolutely, without a fucking doubt, without a motherfucking single shred of a doubt, cynically being used here as a talking point. I'm sorry. You can say I'm racist all you fucking want, but I'm not gonna lie to you here. I'm sorry. God, I really just... Clyburn, he's such a dick. We're going to watch the Vox video in a little bit. Let's finish this AOC video.
Now President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. And I think it's really important that we all work very hard to give them a Democratic Senate as well.
All right. After the election results come back from Georgia, I'm going to ask you that question again, okay? But I'll let you...
Yeah, I know he's quoting Jim's take. I think it's an idiotic
I'll let you
take.
punt that one now. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says that she thinks Biden has a tremendous mandate, but Democrats in Congress are potentially looking at a smaller House majority and theoretically a Republican Senate. I want to play something that Virginia Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger said on a conference call of House Democrats this week that you, I'm sure, heard as it happened live. Take a listen.
We need to not ever use the word socialist or socialism ever again. Because while people think it doesn't matter, it does matter. And we lost good members because of that. If we are classifying Tuesday as a success from a congressional standpoint, we will get torn.
I just want to know, I just want this ex-CIA Andy to like point to a single candidate that's like, I'm running on socialism and I fucking love socialism. Socialism is fucking tight. and I think socialism should be good. And then we'll have a separate conversation on what exactly those values are. Okay? Like, it's fucking psychotic. It's absolutely psychotic that in this country, we are so far removed. We are so far fucking removed from like a decent and ideologically diverse point of view in our really narrowly defined neoliberal box that of acceptable opinions, that like socialist parties or socialism, the mere mention of socialism, if it comes near your party, is an immediate own. What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like, can you imagine this shit? Guys, I know that there's a lot of Europeans in here that watch me every day. Like, the mere mention of socialism is that's it. That's it. Oh, like I'm tangentially related to someone that is being cast doubt upon as a socialist. Abigail, tell us about the values of the CIA. Might that have something to do with your viewpoint? Yeah, of course, ex-CIA does not like fucking socialism. Oh, shocked to find out that someone who literally worked to topple socialist regimes around the world and literally put up puppet dictatorships, someone that came from that background would have such a distaste for socialism.
Apart in 2022. And excuse the profanity. That's the reality.
I imagine you disagree with that assessment. Why is she wrong?
So, first and foremost, I want to acknowledge that first of all, just the really hard fight that a lot of our swing district members had. And it is not to deny that Republicans levied very effective rhetorical attacks against our party. That, I believe, is absolutely true. But I think one of the things that's very important is to realize that very effective Republican attacks are going to happen every cycle. And so the question is, how do we defend ourselves against that? If you look at some of these, some of the arguments that are being advanced, that defund the police hurt, or that arguments about socialism hurt, not a single member of Congress that I'm aware of campaigned on socialism or defunding the police in this general election. Exactly.
Dude, how do you fucking hear this and go, wow, she's being so hard? Yo, I have no self-control. And so as someone who has no fucking self-control, I really do admire that she's able to do this. She's able to exercise restraint in this circumstance and deliver the appropriate the middle ground and civil talking points that she needs to. I want to, every time I hear shit like this, I want to go scorched earth on this motherfucker, like on this mentality. Like, yeah, really? Socialism? Where are the socialists? Where are the Marxists? In the words of Slavoj Žižek against Jordan B. Peterson. Where are the Marxists? Huh? Where are they?
And these were largely slogans, or they were demands from activist groups that we saw in the largest uprising in American history around police brutality. And so the question that we have is, how can we build in a more effective democratic operation that is stronger and more resilient to Republican attacks? And I believe that there are many areas that we can point at in centralized democratic operations that are extraordinarily weak. For example, our digital campaigning is very weak. And this is an area where Republicans are actually quite strong. President Trump, he won the 2016 election, as we know, largely on digital organizing and strategy. And I believe that many Republicans were very effective at digital organizing and strategy as well, whereas the Democratic Party is still campaigning largely.
So I'll take it one step further. I think this is a big area of weakness for us, and I use the royal us in this circumstance, the royal we, and I'm saying the Democratic Party. Okay, fuck it, I'm adopting it fully. We do a fucking pathetic job at like crafting a narrative around the opposition. Like, it's not even just like the digital space and like digital ad campaigns, but like Republicans never take a day off. Okay? They never take a day off. You got Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro. You got AM radio. You have so many different avenues where you can get nonstop, relentless fucking bile, basically reactionary bile all day, every day that crafts your worldview in an incredibly nefarious capacity. Okay? The Democrats don't do any of that shit. And not only that, but at least like Fox News hypes up those guys. But you don't see MSNBC hyping me or the Young Turks or Chapo up. As a matter of fact, they fucking attack us. Either they ignore us or they literally attack us. Like, you need people in the fucking digital space. Royal we means me, I don't think you know what it means. Yeah, okay, well, I. That's what I'm saying. I think. I, as a Democrat, shut up. I'm saying I'm adopting the moniker of the Democratic Party here. I don't know why you had to stop me there in the middle of my rant. There are people out there that are pushing back against these horrible and awful fucking brain poison that's being spewed. We don't have the same reach. We don't have the same infrastructural support. We don't have the same mainstream legitimacy. We don't have anything in comparison to what the machine, the media machine on the right has. Okay? You're Charlie Kirk. You write a fucking article on like your local newspaper about how you love tax cuts, and I think that deregulation is the only way to go. And boom, that fucking gets published on Breitbart, and then a week later you're on Fox News. Okay? That's, by the way, that's literally what happened to Charlie Kirk. Like, they have a machine that uplifts everyone immediately and like just churns out take machines, basically. Churns out fucking take machines that are constantly getting their talking points from the Heritage Foundation, constantly getting their talking points from the right-wing think tanks, and just fucking nonstop crafting a worldview that is so distorted, so twisted, so insane, and yet it works. Okay? We can't even fight this misinformation with truth. We don't even have a system. We don't even have a system where we can fight back this misinformation with truth. It's very frustrating to see that. Now there is other underlying issues. For example, some of the other underlying problems is that leftist media is anti-capitalist in nature. Speaking truth to power means that you are going to push back against corporate oligopoly, which means that you're not going to have a lot of these funding vehicles available to you. You don't have the same avenues of diversified revenue that someone like Steven Crowder, who literally is reactionary and benefits the status quo, will be able to get. For example, or someone even in the mainstream media that works to normalize our current inherently right-leaning Overton window. That person is benefiting from defending the status quo. Okay? That's the reason why the most successful leftist outlets, if not all of them, are grassroots. They're funded and powered by people. You guys. Subscriptions. Chapo's the same. I'm the same. TYT's the same. We have other methods of generating revenue and income as well, but for the most part, this is how it works. And there's a reason for it. There's a reason for that, and that's because, like, the shit that I say makes me a brand risk, even if it's on the right side of history. Do you understand? Anyway, Let's keep going.
Actually, as though it's 2005. And I know a lot of us don't want to hear this, but 2005 was 15 years ago. So we can do better. And then when we really dig down and refine our operations, we can be more resilient to these strong Republican attacks.
You told the New York Times that you almost didn't even run for re-election, in part because of treatment from your own party. You said, quote, "It's the incoming, it's the stress, it's the violence, it's the lack of support from your own party. It's your own party thinking you're the enemy," unquote. Do you really think other Democrats see you as the enemy? Do you think Joe Biden sees you that way?
I don't believe Joe Biden, I don't believe President Biden sees me that way. And I believe that that's actually one of the reasons why he won election. You know, there's a marked difference between 2020 and 2016 in how the Democratic Party was able to unify, to Joe Biden's credit, before the election and get everyone on the same page to make sure that we vote Donald Trump out of office. That being said, you know, there are, at least in the House caucus, very deep divisions within the party. And I believe that we need to really come together and not allow Republican narratives to tear us apart. You know, as you mentioned, we have a slimmer Democratic majority. It's going to be more important than ever for us to work together and not fight each other. And so when we kind of come out swinging, not 48 hours after Tuesday, when we don't even have solid data yet, pointing fingers and telling each other what to do, it deepens the division in the party, and it's irresponsible.
By the way, that's precisely why AOC was pushing back. It's so disgusting to me, dude, that like they literally immediately moved to shift the blame onto the left, and AOC specifically and Ilhan Omar specifically, without like a single piece of evidence. And then when she pushed back and was like, "You guys are saying all this, we want to help you, and we have helped you thus far. How fucking dare you?" Everyone's like, "Why are you being so divisive?" And that's disgusting, man. That is really, really, that's icky, dude. That's really silly. That's really terrible. And Morning Joe was shitting on progressives before the election was even called. Exactly. It really... And she pushes back. "It's okay, let us celebrate. It's not time to start intra-party drama. You're being insane right now." Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Democrats want to stay in the clouds after Biden's victory, me included, but I also feel that this is one of the main flaws of our party. I mean, what victory? This wasn't a victory. This was a narrow victory, okay? If, for all intents and purposes, like, sure, Donald Trump is out of office, and that's something to celebrate, absolutely. We may have pumped the brakes on like America's inevitable demise towards fascism, but it's not exactly the victory that I envisioned. I thought Senate majority would be a victory. Expanding our majority in the House of Representatives, that would have been a victory. A victory means you can have a progressive agenda, or even an agenda in general, an agenda you can actually push through. Saying that now we're just going to concede to the Republicans and now we're just going to deal make with the Republicans, that's not a fucking victory. That's a stalemate where you're already arriving at the bargaining table with an L when you don't even have the majority in the Senate. It's a fucking huge L. You misunderstand the relationship here. Dems are ideologically opposed to socialism. They will always blame left-wing politics. Working within the Dem party seems like a dead end. Anyone who tells me this, and there are plenty of you in here that say this all the time, go build your own coalition, okay? When you reach a level where there's actual significant material power and infrastructure that helps you win elections, when you get there, when you have the Vanguard Party, I'll back you, okay? Right now, you have nothing. You have like, what, how many people voted for the PSL? What was it, like 10,000, 20,000 people? Like, get the fuck out of here. That's not going to do anything. That's not even doing anything in the local elections where you want to win. It's not going to happen, man. It's not. Entryism is the only way to go forward, unfortunately. I understand that this is a bourgeois democracy and this is a bourgeois Democratic Party, and their main goal is to fucking be a stopgap measure from socialism receiving like any sort of mainstream recognition. I get all of that. But we have no other option. If you even want to build a Vanguard Party, you have to, at the very least, have some likable fucking people that have mainstream recognition. How many socialists are there? How many socialists are out there? Like, how many socialists are in politics right now? Okay? You're crazy. If the fucking Nazis said fuck the Republican Party, they wouldn't have Stephen Miller writing white nativist immigration policy. You understand? Now, there is no moral equivalence between socialists and Nazis. Of course not. But whether we like to admit it or not, in the American political Overton window, Nazis are a more understandable entity, as long as they are not outed as Nazis, than fucking socialists are. God fucking damn. Can you America stop saying socialist? Not even Denmark and Germany are socialists. You are further away from socialism than most any other country in the world. Yeah. Like, the things that we want, the things that AOC wants, the things that I want, the things that Ilhan Omar wants, the things that so many progressives want in this country is at least modest but necessary social democratic reforms in the short term. Okay? To stop the fucking bleeding. But we can't even get there because a big chunk of the Democratic Party adopts the reactionary talking point, socialism bad, and weaponizes it against the social democratic reforms that we want to implement. You have no infrastructure in a country where even trade unions are virtually non-existent. Like, our unionization rate is 11% in this country. It's 5% lower than motherfucking Chile, which is a country that our economists have, with surgical precision, turned into a neoliberal testing ground. And even there, they have a higher unionization rate than we do here in the United States. You get that? We are profoundly cruel to our own workers in this country. So talk to me about fucking socialism when you can convince some motherfucking Democrats to reinstitute labor reform so it's easier for corporations to unionize. It's easier for workforces to unionize, okay? That's where it starts. You got to build power. You got to build worker power. You have to have a network. You have to have a base of operations. Right now, we have nothing. We have himbos on fucking Twitch and like 3 or 4 fucking politicians. And most of them get attacked nonstop. Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, they are considered enemies of the fucking state by not just the Republicans either, by the Democrats as well. Those fucking pieces of shit in the Democratic Party attack Ilhan Omar every opportunity they have. Every fucking opportunity they have. AOC are one fucking entry point where like liberals do love her. Possibly because she hasn't really ever criticized Democratic Party this openly before.
It's irresponsible to pour gasoline on these already very delicate tensions in the party. So we can help. It's not saying that every member has to campaign as a progressive in a traditional progressive way, but it's to say that we have assets to offer the party that the party has not yet, fully leaned into or exploited. And I believe that we can take some of these seats. I think Katie Porter's an amazing example. Michael Levin. There are swing seats. Every single swing seat member that co-sponsored Medicare for All won their reelection.
Right.
And so the conversation's a little bit deeper than that, than just saying, anything progressive is toxic and a losing message.
The argument here isn't necessarily whether progressives are popular. They do enjoy a fuckload of support. The argument is that progressives can't flip districts, okay? The main argument is that progressives can't win in red areas. That's only areas where you primary out our comfortable establishment Democrats. First of all, we should absolutely do that. If you're in a comfortable Democratic district, you 100% can put a more progressive person there. You're a piece of shit if you think otherwise. Fuck you, okay? And AOC did do that. And some people did that. But there are, of course, progressives. Katie Porter is a perfect example of this, that have flipped districts. You understand? They have flipped motherfucking districts. And Katie Porter is incredible. She's a Warrenite, but I don't give a shit. She's fucking brilliant. She's great. She communicates the needs of her constituents so perfectly and so brilliantly with her famous whiteboard shit. I'm a huge fan. Jamal Bowman is an example of someone who took over, again, a comfortable blue district. So that's very different. That's entirely different than like what we're talking about. Like, so